When I moved here, it was just an empty space. Lawn and bare walls, no trees. And like many urban gardens, it was very overlooked. I wanted a sense of enclosure. I wanted layer upon layer of green. So I knew I had to plant trees. I had to have something climbing the walls. And I wanted a sense of, I suppose, that it's my private space. I'm happy to share it, but I also want it to be mine. So I started with small domestic trees, a medlar and a cornice, and then some beech trees. Trees that I knew wouldn't overgrow the space. And then gradually worked out what would work the hard way. There's a shaded side to the garden with ferns, hydrangeas, ivy, underneath the medlar tree. And then there's a sunny side to the garden. So roses, sometimes strawberries, things in pots. They're two very definite sides. And then in the middle, I wanted a space for pots, for pelargoniums in the summer. And then in spring, narcissi and tulips and crocus. You know, a garden has to be many things to me, but most importantly, it has to be a space that is soothing, but also where I can refresh my thoughts. So I can leave my study, I can leave the kitchen, I can come out into the garden to untangle a paragraph or to sort out a recipe in my head. It's a good space to sort myself out. It was really important for me to have a space that didn't feel like it belonged in the city, that it was from somewhere else. So I created a hidden garden in a very shady part of the space, which is dominated by a beautiful golden robinia. But then I planted other trees, an apple tree, a cornice, that has grown much larger than I was told it would. I wanted to create a woodland, somewhere with shade plants, with ferns. I wanted a garden that was hidden, my secret space. I split the garden up into rooms, the last of which was a place for a very special pot, a pot that I cherished and loved, that had been smashed to pieces and then repaired, slowly, with lots of wire. So I knew I wanted herbs near the kitchen so that I can step outside when I'm cooking and pick some rosemary or some basil. And I grow them in pots, so they're to hand, which means I can also move them around with the sun. I need them to be close to me, partly for the kitchen, but also partly just to touch, to smell them. That wonderful thing of just crushing herb leaves in your fingers. And that scent, that's what I wanted. Soon after I moved in, I uncovered this secret space, a little hidden courtyard with its own microclimate. It feels different to the rest of the garden. And I filled it with layer upon layer of greens, of ferns, of moss, of climbing jasmine. It's a very special place. The garden does give the impression, particularly on social media, of being larger than it is, but it's a tiny space, which is frustrating, particularly as the garden has been through several stages: a lawn, a vegetable garden, and now an enclosed and secret space. I like the fact that it's a small garden as well. I feel in control of it, I can cope, but also it gives that sense of intimacy. It becomes a sanctuary, a safe space.